step number 2 is fulfill the true potential of your expertise. And we need to find out what it is. And I'm going to give you there's so many ways to that. I'm going to give you just one that for many of you will kind of be, that's not so difficult. So that's my goal for you. So what happens is that most of you probably worked so hard to develop your thing, your product, your service, whatever it is that you're delivering right now, that you looked at it so well, you know it so well this way, but you don't know anything just outside of it, what it can give you and how much more potential it has. And I will show you in a minute. Okay? In my opinion, your product or service, the thing that you have right now is just a little seed. Okay, it's just a little seed. It has lots of potential, but it's way far from where it could be. So what you need is, of course, to plant this seed, and water it and nourish it and, give it all the things in order for it to grow. And when it grows to become a money tree. It's not just money. It's a lot more than that. But in this respect, in business respect, that will become a money tree. I can tell you that we have created the money tree. I think that you can recognize that, right? It's based on expertise, nothing else. Okay? There's a certain expertise that started with a very little seed, then it moved into a book that made a huge difference for us, and I'll talk about it later. And today we're in a position where it's a nice, healthy money tree that is generated. And I created it in a few years. You can create the same. Okay, most of you know my story. I didn't start in a place where you started. I started much lower than that. So you can do that too. And what I want to show you now is one way how to do that. So in my opinion, your product or service are the seed, but you are the gift. And you need to remember that. You have everything in you. And you need to, and it's not just a, airy-fairy, Zweiver thing. You'll see in a moment what I mean practically with that. And this is how you can unlock that gift in you. Okay, you'll need to take a new piece of paper and you need to put it horizontal, because I'm going to draw a diagram which will be very difficult on this board, but you want to have a new page because you're going to draw it this way. Okay? Now what I'm going to do on the board, it will be very tiny, small. You can spread it on the page much better because you have an horizontal page. But basically you start here with your expertise. Okay, you start on the top with your expertise, whatever it is. And you can even go much more detailed than that. I can say my book just here. It doesn't have to be even my whole expertise, just one of my products. You can put your book here, or a training, or a coaching traject, whatever it is that you have, something that you have value to deliver. Okay, it can be just write it my expertise, or you can write something much more detailed, much more specific, about that. And what you want to do is you want to be able to extract out of this part of your expertise, whatever it is, you want to extract for now 6 lessons. Let's see if I can do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lessons. So again, spread it over the page because I'll ask you to write something in it. Here I won't have place for that. But you want to be able to have 6 blocks here. So this will be lesson 1, and lesson 2, and lesson 3, and lesson 4, and lesson 5, and lesson 6. All right, so what I want you to look at whatever it is that you have right now, a product or a service, or even your whole expertise, and try to extract out of it 6 lessons, 6, I don't know another word for that, but a lesson, something that you can teach or you can share from that part of your expertise. So I can go on my book, for example, if we're talking about my book, and I can share about, I can share about how to set goals. That's a lesson. I can share about how to visualize, because that's a lesson. I can share about how to implement in the right way. I can share how not to set goals, because that's where you're going to mess it up, etc., etc. I can find easily 6 lessons there. There are 20 chapters, probably there are 20 lessons there. But let's say all I'm asking for at the beginning is to pick up 6. Is that okay for so far? Yeah, is that helping, Chretyan? Yeah, 6 lessons. I will show you practically in a moment about another product that we do that most of you know, and you see how it works. Okay, but just for now. So you're looking for those 6 lessons, any kind of lessons that you can get. And then for each lessons, you're looking for how can I explain it, preferably in 3 steps. So you can do point 1, point 2, point 3. For each one of those. I'll show you in a moment how it works. All I'm asking you for now, just write this blog. So each one of those will have 3 steps. 3 steps that will deliver that lesson. And I will, in a minute, show you. Okay, so 3 steps in each one of those. Okay, what we're doing is we're looking for one piece of your expertise. We're looking for 6 lessons that you can teach or share your knowledge, experience, and expertise about that specific topic. And we want to be able to communicate each one of them in, don't take me on that, it can be 4, but in general, in 3 steps that can be done. So I'm going to take a very simple example that many of you know and how we do that, and I think that will clear it up much easier. So let's assume that instead of my book there, because not all of you know my book, but most of you know the Business Bootcamp. So I'm just going to take for a second the Business Bootcamp, which is, for those of you that don't know, this is a 2-day training. Okay, it's a 2-day introduction training where we invite people to get to know what we're doing. It's free, and we share about the mindset of an entrepreneur, and then we share about how to set goals, and then we share about some strategies, and then we give them a plan, and people go home and implement. So that's pretty much what it is. So I could look for different lessons during the Business Bootcamp and figure out on those I want to focus more. I don't have enough time in the Business Bootcamp. What can I focus more? Now, I'm going to give just a few, and many of you have been in. How many of you have been in the Business Bootcamp? All right, so majority. So you will see there's a lot more that I could cover. I could do more than 6. So don't ask me immediately why just 6. Okay, I'll answer that later. But I would pick 6, for example. So we're teaching on the second day of the training, we're teaching social media a little bit. So I'm focusing on social media for, whatever times that I have. It's usually less than an hour. And that's a topic that a lot of people are interested to hear about, right? How many of you would like to know more about social media? Okay, so we figured it out. So we can say, okay, lesson 1, and later I'll show you what it becomes. But lesson 1 can be social media. That's what I will write here. In a moment, I'm going to let you do this exercise in the break. So this will be the social media lesson. Now, I'm thinking, what are 3 main things or 3 steps that I can teach in social media? If you've been with us in the Business Bootcamp, you will see it. We're focusing on 3 main ways or 3 main platforms in the social media. The first one is blogging. The second one is LinkedIn. And the third one will be Twitter and Facebook, which I usually combine them together. So my 3 steps, I don't have space to write it here. But you, when you're doing the exercise, you're supposed to write here. In my case, it will be blogging, then it will be LinkedIn, then it will be Twitter and Facebook. Those will be 3 important things about social media. For example, is that clear? But I know that for me, the one that is most important from those 3 is the blogging. You all heard that, right? So I could actually say, well, I have so much to say about blogging. How about I create a lesson about blogging? Right? And about blogging, there are 3 things let's figure out 3 things that are really, really important to know, for you to know about it. So the first one is I need to generate some content, right? A blog needs to have content. So how do I generate content? What type of content? How do I create it? All right, point 1, content. Then I need to get what? Readers, right? People to read it. How do I get traffic? How do I get people to read it? How do I get people to be interested enough in what I have to say so they read my blog? Readers, second point. And then I want my readers to, well, we call it to create a conversation, right? To be part of the conversation. So conversation will be my third point. So those are 3 major points just for the blogging. Are we clear? Okay. Now I can go on and on and on and on. I can talk about networking. And the 3 most important things about networking, I can talk about creating a remarkable product and what needs to be done there. I can talk about, what did I write for myself? Becoming the expert, for example, because we're talking about it there. I can talk about passive income because I just mentioned it there, for example. Or I can talk about setting goals. We talk a lot about setting goals, but not enough in detail. So I can share here, how do you set goals? Does that make sense so far? So I took a Business Bootcamp that is 2 days, and I made 6 lessons out of it, and each of these lessons has those points, so each one of those units can become a something. And this is important, because it might be that for this one, the best model for that will be another training. Okay? Maybe the best model for that will be a book. Maybe it will be a DVD. Maybe it will be a coaching project or a consulting project. Does that make sense? So suddenly I have 6 different products made out of one. Somebody's happy. You got the point, right? Okay. When people get it, then it makes them really happy because suddenly you have their goal. You already have it. You already have it. You just never bothered to think enough about what do I do. So happy to hear that. But that's what you need to start doing. And I will give you time during the break to just find 6 things that you're anyway talking about them. How many of you have at least 6 different things that you are talking about them or sharing them in your whatever it is that you're doing? Right? Now, how many of you, if you will sit for a few minutes, you can figure out each one of those, what are 3 main things in that topic? You already know that. All you need to figure out then is what is best for my audience, and maybe the best to do is to create a program that is called Blogging Masterclass, which is a whole day, which teaches these 3 plus maybe a few more details. So that's a program that you charge for it $475, right? But you can record it, and it will become a DVD, double DVD, that is going to cost 200 euros for people. And then you can create, I just heard that that part of it was created into a video course that is going to be launched next week or whatever it is, that people can have it for free, but it will create traffic or we'll talk about it later, will create people to be interested in the rest of it. So from the same exact material, we created 3 products. Is it interesting? This is what it means starting to fulfill the potential of what you have. Because if you decide that the only way for you to deliver this information is by giving one-on-one session to somebody, because that's how you got used to it, you're just ripping yourself off and ripping the rest of the world. Okay? If I will just decide to give a training for you for a day for that, then I'm ripping off everybody that's come from Groningen because they don't come. Okay? People will not come from South Africa, for one-day training. So maybe if I put this on a DVD and I make the DVD available on our web shop, then people can have the availability for that. Or if we make it as an online course that people can just log in, they don't even need to be shipped a DVD, they can just log in and watch the videos. For example, is that making sense? Guys, so that's what I want you to think about. Now, what I want you to understand is that it's just a start. It doesn't have to be 6. It can be 8 or 10 or 12 or whatever it is. The moment you will start with a 6, the rest will come. Because you will just realize, like I realized here, social media is an important part, and it requires all those, but one of them is blogging, and blogging, I can talk for, 3 days about blogging. I could make a 3-day training about blogging. So that can get its own subject, right? And I'm talking about the bloggings, and maybe I'm talking here about, one point is conversation, which is creating community. I have a lot to talk about creating community. How about I create a course or something about creating community? So things starts to, you see the tree that is coming up? From that's the money tree. You start seeing there's a fruit here, there's a fruit here. And the only thing you need to do is to check with your audience which ones of the fruits they want more. The reason why I don't have yet a course about building community is because I didn't get it yet from people that they are there. Although I think this is the most important thing you need to do. We built a great community around us. And if you've been around for a while, you saw that, both physically and online. I can teach about that, but I don't get the signs yet from the people that this is something important for them. So when you see enough people wanting for that, and you know what I mean with want, right? We're going to distribute a form, and you'll have to sign, and you have to pay for that. Then I know that people are serious. Then I develop it. But that's for something else. But what I'm trying to say is that you probably have more than 6 lessons. You don't have to stop there. But for the break, that's okay. What you need to know is that the more you offer, listen carefully, because we're talking right now about not about the money or not about the business, but about the expert position. The more you offer, the deeper the impact that you make. Because you can go deeper in the material. I can go from social media, which is general, to blogging, which is more, and then I can go to building community, which is even more deeper. So you can go deeper, so you can impact deeper. You're going to get more people because more people will be interested in this fruit and some people will be interested in that fruit, so you attract more people, and you're going to make a lot more money as a result of that. That's what happened to us. Because all the fruits are connected, so it's not something that is not connected. They are connected. They come from the same place. Does that make sense? And you become an expert on this topic. Does that make sense? So everything is supporting it. This is what an expert does. Most of you don't have it, but you can.